boys and girls gathered today, voices lead you to dismay. A night like no other to guide you around, lost in the dark, in this ghost town. The church lay completely still, all is silent, is no thrill. But as you walk alone in the silence, you may hear the sound of distant sirens. Memories haunt us still, sequels of episodes with no real will. There is no escaping us tonight. We'll be in every corner, in every sight. And don't try going and fall asleep, cause it only gets worse within your dreams.
It's that time of year again, guys and gals, and I can finally call the bodies in the yard decorations without getting questioned. Ignore that one. Halloween. The spooky, the scary, and the downright weird-ass costumes people somehow wear. Seriously, I know at least one of you is dressing up as a pizza slice or a Coke can this year. You can't hide from me. I see you. October. Month of fear, non-stop birthdays, and also an important time for me as well. Over the last few months, I've perfected my first album, and now it's finally on Bandcamp and YouTube, so go check it out on the 16th of October. There's a story, message, themes of fire and autumn, and it's overall a relatively fresh project I've handcrafted solo for the past couple of months. So go check it out, and if you end up enjoying it, there will be far more to come in the future, just you wait. So anyway, like I was saying, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. You want to see the scary, I want to be scared, I want to have nightmares while editing this project. Kill Editor Dexter, hashtag kill Editor Dexter, blow up his house and traumatize him for the next 3 months, let's go! Here we will dive into the world of dreams, a terrifying one for sure, but a one me and you will go through, a world not so pure. Running across a battlefield. There are bombs going off. Guns everywhere. Fire everywhere. I swear I've been here a million times. I just can't stand the noise. I can't stand the brutality of it all. Lives lost in front of me. Lives taken away. Lives torn away from their families. People thinking they would make it out, but never get to see the light of day ever again, and be taken in a flash upon my very eyesight. It was traumatizing. Every single drop of blood just terrified me. It oozed out of my skin and crawled into me like a nightmarish phantom trying to possess my skin. I couldn't take the war anymore. I needed it all to end. I watched friends die. I watched family die. I watched everyone die. Oh my goodness. Here again. It had been 7 years since the war, but I hadn't let go of that since every night I relived it in violent, traumatic dreams that made me terrified to sleep. Often, I never did sleep. It would be a last resort, and I consumed everything I should to keep myself awake. I knew if I fell asleep, I would dream of it all again, and relive the same horrific events that happened in those fateful years. I can never stop thinking about it. My dad never made it out, my brother never made it out, my friends never made it out, and I hadn't left the battlefield. I died, but I couldn't get closure. I was still here. A part of me had died, but I somehow made it. Usually when I had these night terrors, I would wake up in my wretched house at daylight, but not this time. It was dead outside. The cold, dense night fell upon me like a knife to the chest. Little light luminously slipped through the cracks of the room, tiny slits in the brick that were barely even there at all. I lived in this grand manor. Whatever. To be honest, I hated it. It was the only thing that existed between my nightmares, and it just felt like the other plane between them, the waiting point for a new horror. But this time, there was a voice calling from across the house. I lit my candle and slowly walked out into the corridor. Felt like life was in slow-mo, and by the time I looked back, my bedroom was a distant memory, the voice in the future I was driving towards. Whilst it was pitch black, I could make out the way because I knew exactly where I was. It was just automatic. I finally reached the stairs. I walked down the stairs, and holy mother of Merlin, there were so many stairs. As I made it to the bottom step, the voice felt louder than ever, but then it stopped. The lights in the standby hall oddly flickered on, emitting a dim orange light that ominously lit the grand room, which almost felt as though it got smaller and smaller after what was probably 30 seconds. That felt like an hour. All the lights suddenly dropped, and I was bathed in a quiet darkness, yet a loud and roaring silence was thrust upon me, followed by screams. Loud, blood-curdling screams thundering towards me. Something, someone, somewhere. I had to run, but I swear I just got slower and slower, and I just ended up floating, and the room got longer. I just needed to escape. The lights bashed on again, and I felt a hand grab my shoulder. In this dream, I was with my mate Sans. We're gonna call him Sans for convenience, because he's already been on the channel before. And that's just who he was playing. Oh, kill me. But yeah, I was with my mate Sans, and we were discovering this cave. There's a little pond of water, quite claustrophobic in places, but overall just a general cave underneath an island. As we were looking through and we were sailing about our boats, he turned around to me, and as we were mining, he asked if I found anything. I hadn't found anything. I progressively dug a little further and further, and eventually, I heard a sound, and I thought, I must be getting closer to, say, diamonds or some kind of ore. It was like I was playing Minecraft. But then, I was met with a terrifying response from Sans. He turned around to me and said, "There's something down there." And it spoke to me. And then, it was followed up with the most horrific sound ever, the most loud buzz in my life, and I woke up to having sleep paralysis, and that was very fun. Basically, in this dream, I had a late shift in an office and practically no one was there. Except for my friend's younger brother, Zach, who has a YouTube, so I can just throw that in there for script purposes. Go check it out. Now, the context here is that this was a skyscraper-style building and had roughly, let's say, 36 floors. Now, I was on the 22nd floor, and Zach was upstairs on the tippy top. Well, second to highest floor in the building, the 35th. Now, I don't know why, but being low to the ground in a high building like a skyscraper is extremely uncomforting to me, and it clearly shows here. My floor was liminal, lonely. I was the only one inside. The lights buzzed above me, a brick fell down somewhere, but did I care? No. I was so tired and exhausted, I just had no energy to. I had to get home and get the work done, but it was... Wait, why can't I read the time? Like, it was just 11:57, a few seconds ago. Am I going crazy? My computer crashed as blood oozed out of it, all over the desk. I hated work, but whatever, here I was, alone on the floor of a building with no overall geography of the area surrounding, and a huge mess to clean up. And it was midnight. But did I care? No. I just needed to find something to clear up my desk with. So I got up and immediately I noticed just how odd the workplace felt at night. Not many people will know how it feels to be in a place like this at a certain time of night or morning, but let me tell you, it just hits different, and this is the #1 reason I'm scared of both liminal spaces and industrial buildings. So I walk around the block and it feels like I'm walking forever. Seriously, it never ends. But eventually, I find myself at a wardrobe of supplies, and I enter. It wasn't really a wardrobe. It was more like a full-blown chamber, the ceiling of which reminded me of the night bus and how, you know, like how it's able to morph around its surroundings, yet also looks really uncanny in the movies. Books are better than the movies, I'm sorry, that's just a fact, everyone knows that. I know, I just had to throw in some Harry Potter reference into this, but what am I supposed to say? The room was uncanny as f***. Not to mention that if Stan Shumpike was in there, I doubt it would be less terrifying. So I quickly got my supplies and left the room like a little kid, scared of the dark. It was just too much for me and I couldn't take a single second more. It just felt too odd, way too odd. I took my supplies and mopped up the blood. And, well, before I was too tired and moody to care or ask why there was blood, I guess my mind had just suddenly kicked in because now I had got hit with a ton of questions that led to a build-up of anxiety in me that was painfully familiar. So I mopped up all the blood and sat back down again, trying to boot up the computer, but the blood only drooled down the screen, obstructing all of it. It then, randomly, shut off. By this point, I was a little screwed. Then, the lights buzzed out. It was clear something was up with the power, so I was left no choice but to go down to the basement of the building and check the fuse box to see if anything was up. So I went down to the stairs and oh my god, I took one look down and told myself, breathe in. I quickly made it down every single step before I finally opened the basement door. The darkness immediately consumed me whole, but somehow a candle appeared in my inventory, and I would use that as a light source in the blackness. As I walked through, it felt more and more as if there was a terrifying atmosphere building around me. I heard footsteps from behind me and whispers from the walls and ceilings around, and it just felt like all eyes had directed their singular vision towards me. Only me. I was alone, right? But then, there was a blood-curdling scream ahead. On second thought, I turned around to slowly edge my way out, but by this point I was so deep in and bathed in a darkness that I could just never see the exit. I hesitated, but persisted forward. And after what felt like 6 hours, I made it to the box and... I can't do this. I heard a creepy wind chime that felt like it lasted for ages, even though it was probably a few seconds. And then, a music box began to play. I am not doing this. I am very sorry. Goodbye. Goodbye. And when the box ended, my candle blacked out for a split second as I turned around to be face to face with a shadow creature, a ghost, something. I had no clue, but it startled me so much I ran the whole way back. New plan. Get Zach. I knew that Zach was on his shift up in the 35th floor, so my new goal, to get straight up there as quickly as possible and get him. I made it out of the basement and looked up. It was going to be a hell of a lot more difficult than that. The stairs were gone. I had to take the lift. It was a dirty, cranky old lift, and I swore any minute it would just crash and I would die. I would have got to see Fred Weasley. But that's beside the point. I eventually made it to the 12th floor, where I practically begged the lift to go up, but nothing worked. The doors opened, and I entered a room filled with cobwebs, followed by spiders, crawling everywhere, crawling around the place like crazy, and not a single Aroni Exime was going to cut this. Seriously, Dexter, stop making the Harry Potter references. I'm telling you right now, stop it. Stop right now, you're addicted. Oh yeah, did I tell you that in the book, I'm taking over, you cannot do this. Get in the wardrobe. So anyway, there I was, practically in that scene from the Forbidden Forest in Book 2. Spiders everywhere, now crawling on me. Like, get the hell off. I ran up to the lift and frantically jammed the button to go up as the spiders grew and grew and grew and morphed together to create a horrifying creature. So I was now headed to the top floor. No, second to the top floor. God, these lifts are less reliable than missing your steps in the Hogwarts staircase. Stop it! So eventually I made it to the 35th floor, and I entered a cozy printing room with paintings all over the walls and a very nice desk in the corner. Zach? You there? Zach! No response. I then turned the corner. Oh, there you are, thank God.
Dex, what are you still doing here?
Listen, I don't have the time to explain. It's been a long night, but the power went out downstairs, and I am not going into the basement on my own, and I swear something is up.
Dex, something one of a kind happened tonight. I was printing out things as usual that you were sending me. I got distracted and looked up the nearest theme parks, and I lost track of time. Yada yada yada, you know, the normal stuff. And the printer then printed a message in blood saying the wall is watching, so I went to the wall and blood just oozed out of it and spelled out some really strange letters. I then spoke to the wall, and whatever this thing is seems to be able to mess with the place. It also gave me a poem when it printed all of this out too.
Zach finished. The poem was boring as heck, but a small detail I found interesting was the lines. Floors below taking from floors above. Spiders that feed off my dripping blood. The spiders must be there because of the blood, and the creature causing all of this must have been inside that wall. Take me to the wall.
Why?
Trust me. I went to the wall, covered in a thick red. It must have been a red wall, because the blood was just so genuinely thick I couldn't tell. I knocked on it twice and asked it, "What are you doing to the office? Who are you?" It replied with, "I am the demon from down below." "What brings you here, Spirit?" "To trap the two of you and kill you." "Why me, Spirit? What have I done?" "I don't like your face." I find it funny in the dream that I was wearing glasses, like in real life. I wear glasses nowadays, and that's how people often see me, but neither Zach or the wall will ever see me like that, because they've never seen me wear glasses. I'm gonna be real, I don't think Zach even knows I have glasses. You guys don't know I have glasses. I took the glasses off and came back to the wall again. I don't like it now, either. Ugh, what do you want? I just don't like your face. Stop saying that! Okay, but I just don't like it. What's wrong with my reflection? I asked myself, as I made the biggest mistake I could ever make.
No, Dexter, no!
I looked in the mirror. Oh, you're such a stupid bitch! I guess the real horror of that dream was either the stupid decisions I made, or my face was actually that hideous. But, never the matter. Shadows. I know I've talked about this before in the last episode of Lucid Nightmares, but I'm going to go into depth and detail here because I think this dream was genuinely pretty terrifying. So here we go. Basically, I was having a weird dream. I was walking around my friend's house and just no one was there. It was completely abandoned. And there was just this constant fog in every room I went into. It was almost like the house just looped around itself and it was creepy as hell. There was just this ominous ambience and this terrifying drone wherever I walked. And it just felt so lonely and isolated. And it was on the top of a hill, so I would have nowhere to go if I escaped. Long story short, after a few minutes of walking around, something just hit me on the head and I woke up in my room. But something weird was going on. There were shadows all around me, looming in the corners of the walls. They were growing outward and coming towards the bed, almost as if they were searching me and everything I had. I couldn't move. I was stuck. It was like something was on my chest. It felt like an hour that they were just scanning around, and they hadn't looked at me until the rest had gone, and the last one, a tall, slender one. As he was leaving the room, he looked into my eyes. I just felt this cold, deathly, horrifying presence I had never felt before. I opened my eyes. Anyways, that leads me on to our final dream tonight. And finally, in the number one spot, we have... Want to know what the scariest thing is? I woke up drenched in sweat. I was in a dark, damp tunnel. I looked for a way out, but there was none. Directions led nowhere, except a huge hole leading to an abyss, like a drain. Darkness. Every footstep I took was echoed in the silence, the cold silence. I reached a corner, and yet, all I could see and all I could hear was the dead whispers of whatever emptiness I found myself in, progressively getting louder and louder. I took a walk down the water steps, but it only got darker and darker in every single one. I made it to ground zero. I was there alone, the noises louder than ever, bursting my eardrums in the dark. And I slipped. I was sliding down the drain, like the huge void. Nothing but darkness ahead. It was like a load of ink dropped onto my body, submerging me. I felt hands grabbing me, pulling me further and further into the black. The noise was overwhelming. And then... silence. The scariest thing is silence. Happy Halloween.